The opposition leader Peter Dutton appeared last night on Kitchen Cabinet, which is ABC program hosted by Annabelle Crabb, where she sits down with various politicians. They cook her a meal and they chew the fat about whatever it is they're going to talk about. Now, last night, Peter Dutton was cornered by Annabelle Crabb by comments he had made in the past about mistakes, or what he called mistakes, made by the Fraser government when refugees were being let into the country in the 70s and 80s. He suggested in 2016 that too many Lebanese Muslims had been let into the country in the context of what was going on at the time, which was rampant gang violence. This is what the conversation went like last night between Annabelle Crabb and Peter Dutton.
The other example that comes to mind is the one about Malcolm Fraser having made a bit of an error letting in Lebanese Muslim migrants in the 70s. I don't know, I look at it, and any way I look at it, I think if you're saying that we made an error bringing, an entire cohort or allowing an entire cohort of immigrants of a certain race and religion, I can't see how there's any way of looking at that apart from that it's a racist remark. Like, it's just, you're making a broad comment based on ethnicity.
They're comments that I shouldn't have made. I've apologised for that.
Now, as he said, he had previously apologised for these comments, and when he was pressed on them by Bill Shorten back in 2016 in Parliament, this was his explanation.
The advice that I have is that out of the last 33 people who have been charged with terrorist-related offences in this country, 22 of those people are from second and third generation Lebanese Muslim background. Now, I'm not going to allow people who are hard-working, who have done the right thing by this country, who have contributed, who have worked hard, who have educated their children. I'm not going to allow those people to be defined by those people who are doing the wrong thing and have been charged with terrorist offences or have been involved in crime otherwise.
Now, there's only one small issue here. What he said there was right. So why does he have to apologise for it then? And why does he have to apologise for it now? Now, I understand what Dutton is doing. He's, I suppose, like any politician, wants to be everything to everyone. But when you've made a factual statement, which is that in these numbers of people who were involved in gang violence back in 2016, Lebanese Muslim people were overrepresented. Should he have to resile from that?
No, and it's really disheartening to hear him say it. We want bulldogs, we want fighters in our parliament. So to see them back down from purely factual statements, and at a time when people are sick to death of this, we see this in France, we see this in the UK, we see this in Sweden, a number of stats coming out that clearly point to certain people that they have allowed to flood in their countries over recent years, and no one wants to talk about, especially the media. I follow people who are independent journos who love to cover, oh, there's been a bombing here or a stabbing there or whatever may have taken place, usually overseas, thank goodness. But they never want to talk about the ethnicity of the person because they don't want to be seen as racist. How can we just simply state facts? What he said was a fact. It wasn't racist in any way. And it's very sad to see him apologise for this now. And also, it was so many years ago. Why are you backing down about this?
Clearly, Peter Dutton's trying to stay on point, which is the reason he's going on this show is to show his softer, more likeable side, because he's not exactly the most charismatic, warm guy. You don't want to sort of wrap your arms around him. And so I'm not sure going on the ABC to become more likeable is the audience that you're trying to impress.
Would you kiss him?
I would gladly kiss Peter Dutton on the forehead.
It's an admission. You would gladly kiss
I'm an
Peter
equal
Dutton.
opportunity kisser.
Oh,
but the point I'm trying to make is Dutton doesn't need to be likeable. He just needs to be competent, because by the time we get to the next federal election, we're not looking for someone charismatic that we all are, excited about. We're just looking for someone who can deal with the energy crisis, who can deal with inflation and cost of living, who can deal with industrial relations so small businesses don't go bust, who can deal with the housing crisis. So I agree with you. He needs to stand his ground on these issues, stop trying to be likeable, just be Mr. Competent, and in 18 months, 2 years' time, you'll be the Prime Minister.
If you are a man of conviction, I don't even have have to agree with you. If someone is a man of conviction, Bernie Sanders is a perfect example.
Yep.
I agree with him on absolutely nothing.
Yep. But
there are pictures and footage of him being dragged out of socialism rallies at the age of 17. He's a teenager. And here he is now in his golden years, still fighting for the same principles, still standing by what he believes in. I think pollies, if they understood, if you are a person of conviction, I don't actually have to agree with you to respect you and go, I'm going to give that guy my vote because at least he stands for something, unlike everybody else who just follows what they think might poll better, and they end up having a message for no one because they're trying to have a message for everyone.
I have to say, it's a big call, though, to say that Dutton could be Prime Minister within 2 years. I don't think it's possible. I
Look at the way the country is going. Give Albo another 18 months, 2 years, people will be begging for a change of government.
Look, it's not impossible. I just think it's difficult, put it that way.
Place bets. Come on, we can replay this 2 years from
the
now.
lawyers tell us we've got to say gamble responsibly every time we say place.
I reckon it would be a responsible bet. But anyway, let's move on.